We're protesting today because Stephen Kapos, the Holocaust survivor, has been pulled into a police station for questioning about his involvement in what was a completely peaceful protest.
But I think it's a very dangerous slide towards complete authoritarianism and even in the direction of fascism. We can see that in Germany and the US, the suppression of protest and free speech is violent. We have to resist as much as possible.
As Stephen's son, it's really it's distressing to know that he's being interviewed by the police at the moment.
Holocaust survivor Stephen Kapos, he was supposedly breaking through the police line. Well, I can tell you, he's not in any physical state to break through a police line. He's 87.
As the son of a Holocaust survivor, I am in despair at what is happening, the genocide that's happening in Gaza, and I'm also in despair at the fact that here in Britain, the Metropolitan Police have decided to pursue an actual Holocaust survivor in his late 80s.
I think the fact that an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor is so warmly welcomed on the marches, universally, he's loved. I think it gives a lie to the fact that there's anything remotely anti-Semitic going on. And in fact, the conflation of anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism is just a way, an attempt to silence protest.
The situation is made more bizarre by the fact that the main reason why the police say they have to curtail and repress our demonstrations is that they claim they're a threat to the Jewish community. And yet here you have a Holocaust survivor on protests we've been involved in. We have demonstrations where there are always hundreds of Jewish people. And in reality, around the world, millions and millions of Jewish people, not surprisingly, are opposed to the genocide that is being carried out by the Israeli state.
The authorities across the Western world have united around one thing, and that is that we must clamp down on anyone talking about the Palestinians. It's slightly reminiscent of what happened to Jews in the middle of the last century, where no one seemed to speak out for them, or they weren't allowed to, or whatever.
I am disgusted at all those who are enabled this to go on. All the enablers, the US, the various Western governments, including our own. It's very difficult to talk about it because it is so painful. It's almost beyond comment. Innocent people being bombed again with these enormous 2,000-pound bombs. Again, children are dying in large number. It's unbearable.
I am a Hungarian Jewish Holocaust survivor. So when the Israeli government says that they're doing what they're doing against the Palestinians because of the Holocaust and because of anti-Semitism, I feel outraged, and I do not want them to do any atrocities in my name, in the name of the Holocaust. It's a genocide. It wasn't a ceasefire. They didn't break a ceasefire. They just doing what the European Nazis did against the European Jews. And yet the Palestinians had nothing to do with the horrors of the Holocaust. I feel utterly outraged that while a Holocaust survivor is interviewed here in London, Israel continues to kill innocent Palestinians in the name of the Holocaust. Outrageous.
My father survived the genocide. Part of what motivates him is the desire that genocide should not be repeated.
What's amazing about my dad, he has such an incredible past. I mean, it is an incredibly traumatic story, but he's using that experience to find humanity. He's always fought for justice, and I think that's just something that I'm incredibly proud of him for.
I am overwhelmed by the support and the solidarity that is shown, and I think that the activism in favor of the people of Gaza creates a kind of warm family in a way, and that's how I feel about it, and it's amazing.
I don't want to say too much about what happened to me because I am facing trial, but what I can say is that it was an entirely peaceful protest. I was involved in negotiations with the police, and literally in the middle of those negotiations, I was grabbed by a whole number of police officers and thrown to the ground and assaulted and then dragged off to the police cells and charged. We are calling on people to continue to mobilise in numbers because what is happening in Palestine is unconscionable. It's a kind of Alice in Wonderland world they're trying to construct in which people who are opposed to the systematic slaughter of children, opposed to the flattening of hospitals, opposed to the incineration of refugee camps, are designated hate marchers by people who are actually very often colluding in genocide.
What is striking about the Palestine protests, both here and in other countries, is that the governments are determined to repress and stop them happening. This is a very sure sign that we are having some real effect, and they're really scared, and they know full well that the majority of the populations in Western Europe, even in the US, are not happy about this genocide in Gaza. And this is all the more reason why we must keep protesting.
I'm intending to continue to attend all the big demonstrations on Saturdays as long as I can walk and do it. And at the moment, there is no sign that immediately I would not be able to do it. So I will go.
We live in times when the mainstream media are getting more and more restrictive on many issues, certainly on the issue of Palestine, and that is why we definitely need alternative media like Double Down News. So if you can, please support Double Down News on Patreon. Thank you.